going to offer advice on composition, probably need to break it down into some basic ideas. This video is on the use of grids, one of the commonest ways that painters choose to organise what's on the picture surface. When it comes to composition, there is a simple definition. It's the organisation of the elements within a picture space. So everything to do with colour, shape, form, line, and how you organise them. And the key word here is organisation. This is a painting by the 17th century French painter Nicolas Poussin. He called this a calm landscape. The horizontals and verticals you can see, and I've drawn a sort of grid over the top, show that almost everything lines up horizontally and vertically. Now you get the odd thing that doesn't. There's a water line there that's probably a bit more of a diagonal, but it's not a dominant feature. Why he used this? Well, quite simply, if you use horizontals and verticals like this, it gives you a calmness, a peacefulness, a serenity. Now, if we then look at the Scully, a much more modern version of a grid, something that Scully did a great deal was divide his whole canvas up into 9 areas. Now, he did this for a reason, but again, there is a calming effect to this. Now, even when he's creating loose edge shapes, there is still a very strict geometry underneath all of this. Now, these are very deliberate examples. Now, neither of them may suit the way that you paint, but there is something to be learned from them. Whether you work by intuition or you actually understand a compositional system, there are some fairly standard ways of going about things. Now, you may not realise that you've actually got a grid underneath what you are doing, but something tells you about balance, that you're going to put something here, something there. Well, let's talk about grids themselves first as one of the simple methods of organising the picture space. The simplest form of grid, in fact, comes with your typical landscape painting. Now, I've got this one in a portrait format, but as soon as you divide the space in two with an horizon, you have a 2-part grid. Now, it doesn't have to be a horizon in the centre. It can be anywhere, in fact. Now, you can put it below or above, but in essence, it's the same sort of thing. You are dividing up the space. In this landscape version, I've drawn the horizon very close to the top in the left-hand side and very close to the bottom in the right-hand side. Now, each of these does something different. If you put the horizon close to the top of the page, what it does is give you more of an aerial view. If you put it close to the bottom, you get that whole idea of a big sky. So you are using composition to express something about the landscape that in fact has nothing to do with the trees or the rocks or the mountains, but it's more about the proportions of the space that you're working with. But let's just go back a bit. Here I've got a diagram with a horizon just above the centre. Never too good putting it dead centre. It tends to make the thing look boring. And I've added 2 uprights. Now, I haven't really taken any great trouble as to where I put them, but you can see what you've got here is the beginnings of a grid. Now, if I now substitute a couple of trees or put them on top of the lines, here is a sense of space. The trees are above the bottom edge. They could be down on the bottom edge, but it looks as though they are in front of the horizon. So we're creating space here in a very simple way. Now, if I change the size of these trees, let's make the left-hand one a bit smaller, that feeling of distance is even more accentuated. If I add in a 3rd one, just a bit further away, and again, I haven't put it dead centre because that's boring, again, you've got a sense of space. Now, we can accentuate that even further by maybe putting in a path. It leads the eye through towards that back tree. With any critique, the first thing is to recognise what the artist has actually achieved. Well, here's a statement. A grid structure has been used in this landscape painting. The grid's not symmetrical. The vertical division is in the middle, but it's off-centre, and this creates a feeling of tension which keeps the audience interested. And you can see that each tree and base lines up with a horizontal grid line. With no diagonals, it creates a sense of calmness and stillness. As a further comment, you could offer advice such as this. The addition of a diagonal to lead the eye through the space could help. What could also help is something at the end of the journey, such as an interesting mountain shape.